Hello everyone and welcome to my review of Download 2022. I'm going to start this video by saying that I did really enjoy myself, but because I really enjoy the festival, I want it to keep improving, and so I just want to state like the positives and negatives of just general stuff I noticed while being there. So with the criticisms, I want to try and be constructive and not just shit on the festival basically. So one of the issues that I noticed while being there is that the toilets in the well, at least for the quiet camp, were quite often overflowing, or there wasn't enough. Like in the mornings there'd be huge queues for the male toilets. It didn't seem as much of an issue for the female toilets, at least that's what my partner told me, that there wasn't really queues or anything, so I think that was fine there. But I think there needed to be more male portaloos and maybe a couple more urinals as well, just because it was kind of overflowing a lot on queues like in the every morning basically. But yeah, that's a simple fix, just maybe a couple more portaloos or cleaned out more often. But having more portaloos and urinals would also fix the issue of there being like quite long queues in the morning. One thing I did seem to notice is that the village seemed to have less shops this time. Like it just had less there, and don't get me wrong, the village was still really great and everything, but it just seemed like there was less variety there than 2019, which is the last one I went to. So I'm not sure why that is. I don't know whether it's because of the new hard standing location, or whether it's because less businesses wanted to be there, or because there's less space, but it just felt like there was less, and I'm not sure if there's anything they can do about that. Yeah, that was just something I noticed overall. I think the biggest issue for this year was actually the Crucible. And it wasn't because of the stuff going on in the Crucible. The stuff going on in the Crucible was great. Like there was good music, like the DJs and stuff were great. The side split stage was good. And there was like food and stuff in there. The main issue for us was we were in the quiet camp, and obviously we're there so we can, you know, actually rest at night and stuff. And it was literally right next to the quiet camp, which meant that even, so let's say you wanted to go to sleep to rest for the next day, like say it was the Thursday and then the Friday you're going in the arena, we would go to bed for instance, and then if you did want to sleep early, there was still music and stuff going at 3 a.m. and I don't think the music should stop before 3 a.m, but I just don't think the Crucible should have been placed directly next to the quiet camp, because it was really loud. At points you could hear everything word for word from your tent from the Crucible. So I think, yeah, that definitely needs to have something sorted. I think the idea that I think would work is where the co-op was in the village. If you swapped that for either the entire Crucible and then just swapped those around, or if you had like one of the stages there and one of the stages in the bit next to it, like where the Oxfam was, and I think that might be a better option, and then have that stuff back where the Crucible was this year, and then that would sort the issues of being directly next to the quiet camp. So I think that was kind of bad, because it meant quiet camping wasn't really quiet. But yeah, hopefully that's something they can fix for next year. We also had it kind of mixed reviews, the Hardstand Village. Like we think overall that it's definitely going to be better for the festival in the long term, because it's closer to all the camps, which means everyone can get there a lot easier. But I know there's just something I miss about walking through the grass and stuff, and it's not really that much of a criticism, but overall I think in the long term this is probably going to be better, because it's closer, and to hopefully stop it getting waterlogged if there's a drown load again. So now on to some of the things that I did think were good in the festival that I noticed while we were going around, and things that I think they should keep or add more of in the future. The first one was there was a lot of grassy areas in the arena to just sit and chill, and I think that was really good, because obviously when you're in between bands, or sit down and eat, or sit down and chill for any reason, then you can do that. And I think there was a good amount of grass space by just near the avalanche stage, and there was a good amount of space near the entrance heading towards the second stage, and a bit towards the right side of the main arena. And yeah, so I think just having those spaces is really useful. I think another thing that was really good is the water refill points. Obviously they had some in the village previous years, but I think they've added more water refills, which I think is really good, and the arena had water refills, which I'm not sure if it did previously. If it did, I never noticed them. But yeah, we found it really useful this year, because obviously it was quite warm, so being able to just refill a bottle, get some water whenever you need it, basically, was just really nice. And yeah, I think that's definitely a feature that needs to stay there. I think another good point was that there was some more unisex toilets there, and I think having more unisex toilets on top of the separate ones is a good idea, just so that there's more toilets for everyone to use. There was some in the campsite village, which was useful. There was also some by the avalanche stage. However, a criticism of that is that it was unisex, as they had people like giving out sanitizer and stuff. I confirmed that it was unisex of one of them. However, above it, it only said female toilets, which was kind of confusing, because obviously unless you go over there to check, you're not going to think that there's a toilet there. So that was kind of weird. So I think just a small note is that they need to make sure that either it says both male and female toilets, or it's a sign that actually says unisex toilet, so people know. Because if I didn't go and check, I wouldn't have known that was there, and I think a lot of other people probably didn't know they were there, so they probably were less used than they could have been. But yeah, overall, that's my review of just random stuff around the arena. Obviously, as I said, I had a really good time there. I always do when I go. The two main things that need to be improved is the toilets, in terms of getting more, at least for the quiet campsite there wasn't enough for the male side. The crucible in a separate area to where it was this time, just because it made the quiet camp not a quiet camp anymore. And I think that they're the two main things that need to improve. If there's any other criticisms or positives that you can think of, then obviously leave it in the comments and I'll take a look. But yeah, that was my review, and hope you enjoyed, and I will see you at the 20th anniversary.